Welcome to the Berman Golf Podcast, where we're helping golfers over the age of 60 increase distance off the tee so that they can hit shorter irons into the green. Yeah, baby. You can visit us at bermangolf.com for more information and get ready. This is going to be a fun one.
And we're rolling, baby. The Long Balls Golf Podcast. Dr. Jake Berman here with a very special guest today, Dr. Travis Hamilton, or Travster for those that are good friends with him. What is happening, Travster?
Nice, Jake. How you been, man? Or sorry, Dr. Jake these days, right? No. You've been a doctor for many years now.
So me and Travis met back in grad school. We're good friends all the way from back in grad school and went to PT school together. And Travis is who I actually referenced in the first chapter of my golf book. Travis is the reason why I hit the first golf ball that I ever hit.
Yeah. I don't know if what you did qualifies as hitting a golf ball the first time we went out to, what was it, Ironwood? I think it was it looked like you were chopping wood. You were good at that. But no. I will say this, and I'll say this for your viewing audience. I don't know that I've ever seen somebody pick up golf as late in life as Jake did, and his swing to come as far as it has in 5-10 years. It's been remarkable. I will say this. If you would have told me that you were where you're at today, based on what I saw day one, I would have said, you're full of it. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. But
thank you, sir. So the thing that I'll tell you about how this all came to fruition is I didn't want anything to do with golf, never wanted anything to do with golf. Fast forward, Travis moves into my house. I had a house back in college, and Travis is one of my roommates. We're in grad school together. Travis is a very good golfer, was a very good golfer through high school, and kept asking me to come out to the range. I always said no. And then finally he goes, dude, just come out to the range. We'll hit some balls and drink some beers. How bad could it possibly be? So we go out there, and I'm watching Travis absolutely stripe these balls with a 7-iron or some type of wedge. And the sound that these balls were making, I'm going, are you effing kidding me? Like it was just an explosion, and a ball just takes off with this low trajectory and then balloons up and lands so nicely. And I'm going, holy cow, that is cool. I can do that.
Of course, everybody can, right?
So, I mean, how hard can it be? The ball's not moving.
Right.
I go and pick up a club and start whacking and hacking away, and I'm going, this is bullshit. Where's the beer at?
Where's my beer? You promised beer.
So anyways, Travis is who got me introduced into golf. And like you said, fast forward 10 years later, I never would have thought that 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whenever it was, that this is where I would be at today as far as my relationship with golf. So thank you, Travis.
Well, you're welcome. But I will go ahead and second that. I mean, if you would have told me even back in grad school that, we would be having a conversation about golf on a podcast professionally, I would have said, well, I don't think that's possible. But, here we are today. And, like I said, kudos to you, man. You've come so far with this. So I'm really proud to even be mentioned with you in that same breath with the book, The Berman Method. So little shout out plug to the book there. So,
all right. So one of the main reasons why I wanted to have Travis on today is Travis actually reached out to me. He was listening to one of our episodes, episode 11 of this podcast, and we were talking about the ground reaction force. And he goes, you're right, but it's not complete. And I said, okay, well, let's talk about it. And let's talk about it on the podcast. And the reason why I wanted to is because Travis is now a level 3 TPI certified instructor or coach. What's the right word? Person?
Instructor, coach, magician, whatever you want to call it. I just, biomechanics expert in using the ground for your golf swing. How about
there
that?
You go. So Travis is now a level 3 certified TPI instructor coach. And he was out in California not too long ago and just got refreshed on all this and came back all jacked up. And we wanted to talk about it a little bit more. And I think that this will be an amazing help for a lot of our listeners out there that really struggle with finishing the golf swing. So often, the vast majority of my golfers, my clients, we're talking 60 plus, the body just doesn't move the way that it should move for an efficient, effective golf swing, and they end up arm swinging at it. And one of the lowest hanging fruits is finish the damn swing. Get your belt buckle to the target.
Exactly.
Finish the swing. So let's talk about it. Because on number 11, what we talked about was loading the back leg in the backswing. So that's ground reaction force. We're loading the right leg for right-handed golfers during the backswing. However, it's not over there. So go ahead. Let's talk more about it. Let's see if we can confuse anybody through radio.
We're going to break out, the physics here and see if we can confuse some people and, see if we can, in the end, hopefully teach you how to rotate through the ball and not stop the swing. So Jake, you and your colleague did an excellent job on episode 11, talking about using the ground with your back leg. Loading that back leg, as you guys previously talked about, you guys did an amazing job of explaining how when you load that back leg, you can't have a straight leg. It has to be bent to generate the appropriate amount of force through impact. And that is fantastic, but it doesn't get the last component, which allows us to achieve that complete hip turn through the ball. So if you think about as you come down, start your downswing through the ball, you've got your weight on your right leg, knee bent, exactly how Dr. Jake was telling you. And then as the club comes down, your weight should be moving. Your force should be moving from your back right heel into your left foot. Now, if we don't do anything about that, it's going to stay there. And the swing kind of peaks out right before you make impact with the ball. But as that force comes into the left foot, if you initiate a vertical force up and back towards you, it will create a rotary movement that allows you to essentially finish the golf swing into that left side as if you were sprinting through the line. What you guys described was sprinting to the line. We want to sprint through the line to create that last bit of turn in rotation through the golf swing. Does that make sense? Or do we need to bust out the physics manuals here?
It makes sense to me. However, I think we need to break this thing down even more so that if we were imagining that we were talking to a fifth grader, because again, we don't have visuals with this, so we don't want to confuse anybody. So
exactly.
Let's just do it even more. We load it up on the right side. Okay, we're nice and loaded. We're at the top of the downswing. And then we're going to initiate the downswing by pushing through the right side even harder, which is shifting our weight onto the left leg. And the thing that I see most common with my older golfers over the age of 60, over the age of 70, is as you're pushing onto that left leg, they're not doing anything with the left leg, just like you described. We're pushing onto the left leg and not doing anything. So you stay bent, your left knee stays bent, and you can't really finish a swing. What you're describing is as you push off of your right leg onto the left leg, you need to start pushing through the left leg so that your left belt loop or your left pocket starts rotating backwards. Is that accurate?
Exactly. That's 100% accurate. So, as you've documented before, as we talked about before, we have to get those hips through the ball. But this is how that happens. Okay. It's not just, turn your hips. No, you have to use the ground to help you generate that rotation, that force to speed through the ball as opposed to speed to the ball.
Love it, love it, love it. I love the analogy, sprinting to the finish line versus sprinting through the finish line.
Correct.
This is the same exact thing. Everybody, it's really hard for a golfer to understand when somebody on the outside looking in says, you didn't finish your swing there. You kind of just left it hanging. And this is one thing that I've been guilty of many, many times is even Jan, when he was watching me hit the ball, he's like, dude, you didn't finish it. Daniel Ed, who was on the podcast a couple episodes ago,
Yep.
He goes, you're just leaving it hanging out there. You didn't finish the swing, belt buckle to the target. And I'm going, what do you mean? I finished the swing. It was beautiful.
Or how do you turn that belt buckle to the target? Because you've done all of the pre-work, right? You've done everything you need to, except for that last bit of force that helps get the belt buckle from pointing at, let's say, 2:00 to noon, right? Because that's what happens when you don't finish the swing. Your belt's pointing at, let's say, 2:00 down the target line as opposed to 12:00.
I think that's perfect right there, because you wouldn't think that that's a massive difference, or how's that going to affect the golf ball, because the golf ball is already gone by the time I'm at 2:00. Who cares if I get to noon?
Correct. But
it matters.
That sprinting through the line versus sprinting to the line. And that's the best way I can describe that for you. That if you're generating all this force at impact, but have nothing after impact, you're hitting the ball with a wet noodle. Your force has got to keep going past that impact to transfer it appropriately.
That's revealing what you said right there, because the way that I've described it to people is the reason why it's important to finish the golf swing is because your brain knows that that's your goal. When your brain knows that the goal is belt buckle to 12:00, it is going to move very differently on its way to 12:00 than if your brain thinks the goal is to finish at 2:00. Mm-hmm. And that's what you're describing right there, sprinting through the ball. If your brain knows that the goal is to get your belt buckle to 12:00, it is going to move very differently, which means it's going to sprint through impact. You're going to swing through impact, right?
Correct.
Okay, well, all this sounds easy. Let's just go out and do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so simple, It's just, this is just how you become a scratch golfer, You don't even have to try that hard. You just got to swing through the ball, man. It's so easy. No, there's definitely a skill component to this as well. And, I'll be happy to, assist anybody with that. But, it's definitely one of those things where it's a practice movement, practice motion. For a lot of your golfers who have been playing for years and years and years, they've developed some bad habits or bad techniques or compensatory moves or any of these things. But, the one criticism that people have had with this is that, this is too athletic. This is too much stress. But if you're doing it properly, it actually will unweight the forces going through your spine and put it through those legs, so you're not having that intense crunch down on your back to achieve that rotation.
Oh my gosh, that was music to my ears. We did not talk about this before we hit the record button. And what you just said right there is what I'm screaming at my guys. The reason why you have to finish the swing, the reason why you got to get that left side. I say these words, you don't really like these words, but I'm saying post it up and get that left side straight so that you can get your hips to rotate, is because if you don't, then your spine is going to be what decelerates the swing.
Exactly.
Versus when you can get that pushing, that rotation of the hips, then your hip decelerates the swing, and your hip is much more stronger and durable than your spine is.
Yep. Exactly.
I love that. Absolutely love it. Glad you said that. So
it just came to me. I blacked out for a second. What'd I say?
Shout out the old school there. Perfect. So I don't like doing this, because so often I have to yell at my clients when they do this, when they come in saying, well, this is how Tiger does it. Well, this is how Rory does it. This is how Justin Thomas does it. I was watching the tour yesterday and they were all doing this. I'm like, are you on the tour? Do you practice 10 hours a day?
Are you 26 years old?
Are you 26 years old? I love that one. I'm going to start using that more often. Are you 26? Oh, wait, you're 76. Yeah.
That was, so one of the things that they said, and I don't know who said it originally, but one of the things that they said at Titleist at various different points in time when they were talking to us was, people love to say that, just like you did, where it's like, oh, I saw Justin Thomas do this, or if I could just get to this position like Adam Scott. Well, would you watch LeBron James go driving down the lane, cross somebody over, and then dunk and think, I just need to do that next time I play YMCA? No, you wouldn't think that. Why? Because you can't dunk. You can't cross people over like that. You have to modify your game. So I think that there's techniques and things you need to do to make sure that your sequence in your golf swing is appropriate and safe. But trying to model your swing after the PGA golfer, it's a fool's errand.
I am stealing that from you. The next time somebody comes in here saying, well, this is what they did on TV yesterday, I'm going to say, oh, did you see what LeBron did last night? Do you think you could go do that at the YMCA?
Exactly. For some reason, people see golfers and think like, oh, I should be able to do that. Okay. We'll let you think that. But in the meantime, if we actually want to get better, here's how we do.
Right. Let's talk a little bit more about what it really, why we shouldn't do that, because so often we just kind of glance over and I say, you're not a pro, you're not a tour, we're mere mortals, they're superhuman. What does a normal day look like? Because you've worked with some high level golfers throughout your career. What does it really take to be on that level, to even attempt to make it on even these amateur tours? What does it take to be there?
The easiest one that I can convey across a podcast for you is just a putting session. Okay. I know it's not relevant to what we're just talking about, but this speaks to the work ethic. So this putting drill was used by Oklahoma State, which they, late 2000, late 90s, mid 2000s, they just became a factory of producing golfers. Ricky Fowler, Victor Hovland, Matt Wolf, all these guys went to Oklahoma State, and their putting warm-up consisted of this. They would start 4.5 feet away from the hole with 25 balls, and they had to make all 25 in succession before they could move back to 6 feet. They had to then make all 25 at 6 feet before they could move back to 8 feet. And then they had to make all 25 at 8 feet. That was their putting warm-up. And then they did, various other drills, like an around the world drill, where they pick, 12 spots around the hole like you would on a clock, and they have to make all 12 of those. Once they finish that, then they start their short game practice, which starts with a very similar kind of routine that's, from 15 yards away, all of the balls need to end up within 2 feet of the hole. And they move to 25 and then to 40. And this all takes 2 to 3 hours, and they haven't even taken a full swing yet, Jake. So if we want to talk about the dedication it takes to even be a Korn Ferry Tour player, just their practice routine, you're looking at probably 3 to 4 hours in the morning, lunch, probably a playing lesson or playing around in the afternoon. And that doesn't even get into the physical training side of it. So serious top level golfers are putting in probably 8 to 9 hours a day just on short game, swing, and physical training.
Wow. And I'm expecting to just roll up to the first tee and break 100.
Yeah. So that tells you the gap that takes to go from 100 to 70. So that's when I read that, I was like, there's no way. That's impossible. Like, No. And then I talked to both of my cousins, shout out to them. They both played golf at Ole Miss, and they said, yeah, that's pretty much a college golf routine in season.
Wow.
So, yep.
That is serious discipline. And one of this, let's bring it back to relevancy for those that are listening to this podcast is you said that doesn't even include the physical training aspect of it. Let's talk a little bit more about that because there's so many aging golfers who think that just because they golf 3 to 4 times a week, they're active, or because they golf 2 to 3 to 4 times a week and they go and do some cookie cutter exercise routine in the gym that they've been doing for 15, 20 years, that they're really staying in golf shape. What do you think about that?
I think it's great that they're being physically active. I don't think that that is going to prepare you for golf shape at all, particularly because there's the ways that we train for golf are not things that are going to be available or readily, easily to use at your average gym, if that makes sense. And so, for example, with my training routines, just finished with a guy who's this morning, just finished with a guy who's on the West Florida mini tour. We used 2 20-pound dumbbells and 1 6-kilogram ball, and we worked out for 75 minutes. So there was very little equipment that was used in terms of like weights that you would see at a gym, but it's very functional stabilization, control-based things that are focusing in on speed and power generation. So yeah, just going to the gym and using the same exercises, which that's a whole different boat to get into. You know, doing the same thing over and over is not going to produce results on the golf course. You have to, that's
one more time.
I said, doing the same thing over and over is not going to produce results on the golf course. You have
to one more time.
One more time. The same thing over and over does not produce results on the golf course.
I'm serious about that because I'm telling you, man, these guys, they get set in their ways and they say, yeah, I work out with a trainer and I do the same routine every single day or every other day. And it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
It's like, the first thing I talk about right out of the gate is we got to get your glutes firing. And they say, oh yeah, I do squats every day. All right. I get on the leg press every day. I'm like, okay, that's great. We got to get your glutes stronger.
That'll get your glutes stronger, but can you fire your glutes? And more importantly, here's a quick little nugget for you and for your listeners here. If you lay on the floor and you cannot squeeze one butt cheek at a time, alternating back and forth, you cannot engage your glutes for the golf swing.
I love that. Absolutely love it. I'm stealing that one. I've never had anybody do it. I've done it in standing positions and other positions. However, that one is so simple.
If you can't do it laying down, there's no way you're going to be able to do it in an athletic position while you're moving between 3 planes of movement. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's not possible. You're not that good of an athlete.
I don't think that there are many people in the world who are that good of an athlete. So not to be hyperbolic, but like that's quite a stretch. So yeah.
Love it. I am definitely going to steal that one.
Yeah. So I think that there's a definite training component, but again, this goes back to, I mean, just basic 101. Why are you doing what you're doing? If you're doing it to get better at golf, you need to be training specifically for golf. Like I said at the beginning, when you were telling me about those guys, like, I think it's great that they're physically active. That's awesome, but are you doing what you're doing to be physically active, or are you doing it to be better at golf?
Great question.
So that's where I would go with that.
Love it. I absolutely love it. So we've gone over a lot of stuff today. We've hopefully not confused people as much as provided some clarity on how to get from 2 o'clock, belt buckle at 2 o'clock, finishing at 2 o'clock to finishing at 12 o'clock. And Correct. The importance of it and how it relates to sprinting through the finish line versus sprinting to the finish line. So hopefully we shedded some light on that and can spark some interest on this. moving forward, do we have anything else you want to talk about before we wrap things up?
No, like I said, I think you guys did an excellent job of explaining everything when it comes to loading the swing, that back leg. That was awesome. It's just, this is that last component as to how we finish the golf swing, is pushing through that left foot, those left toes, pushing it backwards and up while you're swinging down, and that will open up your hips perfectly. And I think, your listeners, your clients, your patients get that, and they will see, not only feel better swinging the golf club, you'll feel more athletic, and you'll be safer on your body and your back. I mean, that's the trifecta in my mind.
What more could you possibly want?
Right.
Cool. So how can people learn more about you? You just recently went out on your own. You started in the corporate world for the majority of your career, and then just recently went out on your own. So how can people find out more about you?
Right now,
where do you live?
So I live in Tampa, Florida, just north side of Tampa here, just far enough away from Jake that way he doesn't lure me into coming down and working for him, But
I tried a couple times.
I'm up here in North Tampa, and I'm available at stripeshowhealth@gmail.com for anybody who has any questions. And Jake, I guess you'll put that in the show notes for people there. stripeshowhealth@gmail.com. We're working on finalizing the website and updating our YouTube channel. So I will let you know when that goes live so that people can take a look at that content as well.
Perfect. I love it.
So, and anybody can reach out to me with any questions or concerns, or, hey man, you did such a terrible job of explaining that. You wrecked my golf swing. Send me an email. Let's set up a conversation. Let's make sure that we're all on the same page, because I don't want anybody to be worse at golf. We want people to get better. So.
Perfect. I thought it was great. Thanks for taking the time to chat with me, even though the service wasn't too great on internet connection here. Hopefully we can edit out most of this and we can get some good audio out of this. I thought it was a great conversation, and let's definitely plan on having another one as we progress this concept of improving golf games.
I love it. Thanks again for having me, Jake. And, you guys are doing awesome. Keep up the good work.
Cool. Thanks, Travster.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for tuning in this week. For more information, please go to bermangolf.com. That's B as in boy, ERMAN, bermangolf.com, and check out a ton of stuff that we have there. Or even better, go to our socials, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. We're even on TikTok. Check us out everywhere. We've got tons of content going out every week. And please give us a thumbs up. Comment on the videos. Let me know what your questions are. Try to shoot holes in this. I'll do whatever I can to help you out the best that I can. Thank you, guys.